the exciting matchup of the week, whilst I was doing the prep for this show, I told you there is one player that I'm very, very excited to be starting this week. Baltimore, Cincinnati, 46.5 over under. Again, 97% of the cash is on the under. So maybe dropping that number down a little bit as you get to kick off. Tom, are you excited about any of these guys starting this week?
It'd just be nice for one game if the Ravens could come into this matchup healthy. Like out of the last 5 games that these two teams have played, Lamar Jackson's only played in 2 of them. We saw like in the playoffs last year, Marlon Humphrey was out, Marcus Williams, I think he played, but we were missing maybe Kyle Hamilton. And you go back and it's just been miserable. I'm not making excuses because you have to win the divisional games. But this week you look at it and Ravens going to be missing Pro Bowl left tackle Ronnie Stanley. They're going to be missing Tyler Linderbaum, who had PFF's highest grade at center last week. And they're also going to be missing Marcus Williams with a torn pec, who they paid a lot of money to be their star playmaking safety. So it looks like this one could develop into a shootout. I'm not interested in the running backs on either side of this game. I think Joe Mixon, it doesn't look like he's lost a huge amount of work to either any of Chase Brown, Chris Evans, Travion Williams. It feels like they're going to mix in at times, but nobody's really stolen that. But I'm just not sure that Mixon's going to have a great deal of success against the Ravens defensive line that really shut Dameon Pierce down at times last week. But yeah, in terms of a passing game, load up on wide receivers, load up on Mark Andrews if he plays at 6,300. That feels like a very friendly price for him. Mark Andrews had plenty of touchdowns in this matchup over the last few years. But I'm not playing Gus Edwards or Justice Hill or definitely not Melvin Gordon.
No, but the guy that I'm really excited about this week, T. Higgins. I think for me, T. Higgins goes one of 2 ways. He had an insane amount of unrealized air yards, 151 air yards last week, 8 targets, but didn't get a reception at all. We've seen all the talk in the week that this means that the Bengals are going to move on from him. They're not close to a contract. And I think that basically, if T. Higgins doesn't have a good week this week, I think he's probably going to struggle for the rest of the year, because I think that what the Bengals are going to do is that squeaky wheel game and say, no, T, you're still part of the offense. You're still part of our future. And they're going to force feed him the ball against the Baltimore's banged up secondary. So I think that T. Higgins could have an absolutely monster week. And I fear, Tom, for your Ravens a little bit this week, because I feel like the Bengals could come back with a bump.
Yeah, I think so much of it depends on how healthy is Joe Burrow. Is Joe Burrow's issues? I mean, last week he looked rusty. The Ravens looked rusty. These are 2 teams who didn't play many starters at all in the offseason. So there was definitely an element of that. But if you're looking for correlations, T. Higgins and Zay Flowers feels like an absolute perfect one to lock in on DraftKings. I mean, Zay Flowers in his debut led the team in targets, had 3 red zone targets. I know you put out some stats today that were really good about how many design plays he had. And sometimes that can go a little too far where you end up in the Kadarius Toney basket. But it was really positive to see him come out and have a great debut.
Yeah, and also, I talked about it, I can't remember when, but at some point, I think Monday maybe, that the interesting thing with the J.K. Dobbins injury is that I don't necessarily think that the Ravens are going to go, right, let's get our running backs involved in the passing game. I think they're going to go, right, Zay Flowers, he's going to be our jet sweep guy, he's going to be our screen guy, and it means more potential targets for Zay Flowers rather than necessarily those running back targets staying with the running backs.